Okay, let's pick up where I left off from the last video. If you need a reminder, go watch the last video. It'll make a lot of sense what I have to say. So, I'm starting to work in a new theory. And that theory is, so from the last video, from the white paper, we understand that as the DIX rises, this is signaling market maker shorts. And what's implied there is that you, the consumer of stocks, when you buy a stock, that stock has to be immediately given to you. The process of that immediacy is the market maker selling short a share they do not have. So when you see high reading in the DIX, it often correlates with the bottom in the market, which implies smart money buying the dip. Right? Dark pools, they only manage the smart money. And so smart money is buying the dip at bottoms. And then if we zoom out, they are also selling the dip. 2018 being the perfect example where they are selling the dip. As we can see, we get strong selling into a peaking S&P 500. Okay, so now that we're caught up, we're going to go to the current theory. And I don't like the way it scales. So the current theory is this. I'm predicting a long-term top. Something unprecedented. This is not usual market times. You know, you feel me? Like, it's highly unusual. And so, shit. I had an article. There's an article that's by the Fed. It was a research article into are market managers or market makers active or passive participants in the market. And they discovered, the conclusion is, yes, they are active managers in the markets. And so, in theory, this is just theory, when we see very, very large corrections that are forewarned, we might see an extra unusual combination of higher, notice the trend, higher DIX readings. Not because not because market makers are selling short more, but because they're taking on more speculative shorts. The market maker is essentially building a speculative short position for a move they understand is going to be quite large to the downside. And so maybe we can also explain this away at the bottoms. We could say, hey, these large gatherings, maybe the market makers are the smart money, and maybe the market makers are responsible for the speculative positioning. Or rather, you can explain this away in a lot of ways. Maybe this is market maker hedging, speculative. So the DX is a very dirty signal. It's not clean, it's not perfect, it's not pristine. It doesn't indicate one thing. It can predict It can be showing you multiple factors at work at the same exact time. However, it is a reliable indicator. It's, in my opinion, it's the best indicator in the market. Again, I'm not a shill. I'm not trying to sell you this thing. I think it's completely useless from my own experience. Other than this is a completely free chart you can get by going to sweetsmetrics.com. Okay, I just like to use this chart because I find that this is the most useful chart in all of the universe of stock information tools. Okay, so I got sidetracked again. I keep getting sidetracked. What do we notice? Okay, again, last video I covered this. When we see divergences in the GEX and the DIX, what does that tell us? It means the smart money is not chasing the gamma. They aren't responsible for the gamma. They're responsible for the gamma here. We get a carried move up. Now, these signals lag. These signals lag, and this is clearly an unprecedented time. These signals lag. So, for example, of a lagging signal, right here, we're getting spike in the DIX, and it stays elevated. There's a steady divergence here, right? There's a steady divergence of lower GEX, higher DIX. And what that tells me is that the stupid money is buying puts here, or not buying as many calls, while the smart money is buying up the market and probably buying those cheap calls. And we see that same reversed. Where do we see it reversed? Right here in 2018. Stupid money is buying calls at the peak. Smart money is selling the market. And they're buying puts for cheap. Okay? So that brings us to today. Hopefully I don't have to go over more. We're getting multiple signals of divergences. Multiple divergences. Okay, so this is consumer credit total change from 91 to 21. We have 30 years of data. This is such a great chart, and it gave us one of the most historic readings. It is the most historic reading in the 30-year period. Right now, to today, history is being made. And we need to discuss the possibilities of this history in the making. This is being interpreted by reflationists as a telltale sign, right? Just like in 11. What did we get in 11? We got a big spike up. And they're claiming this is reflation. This is, okay, it's June, it's July. What do we have? We have a bunch of people on vacation. This is the reopening trade, baby. Nothing but up. Green days all ahead of us. Nothing but reflation. Okay, this is the most crowded trade in the entire market, and is filled with the most consensus, lame-brained, sorry-ass people I have ever fucking seen, and they are some of the most highly respected people. They're clowns. They're fucking clowns, okay? So let's take a look at this chart, and we're going to look at two possibilities. One, we have no evidence of reflation in the market, okay? But let's just say all the data is wrong and reflation is possible. We have this spike back in 98 that preceded a further climb in the markets. Now, I'm going to throw a wrench in this theory, though, because in 98 we had a Fed bailout. So we had a 20% correction in the market. Like, the market climbed about what happened in 98. So right after that happened at the beginning of 98. Right after that, we get a nice climb. That's quickly taken completely out. You see from there. Can I zoom in here? Yes, perfect. Okay, so let's zoom in. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this happened at the beginning of 98. That's probably March 98. What happens in March 98? Wow, we're almost to the top. We're almost to the top of the market. And we get, this is LTCM. This is long-term capital management. And we get a dump off. So that credit spike completely correlates with a market correction. The only reason the market kept going up is because the Fed came in and bailed out the market. Okay? That's a bad omen. That's one bad omen. You see how we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to say 5. I'm going to count this as 5. I'll count this as 6. This is the pre-18. Okay, so I have 6 spikes they're outliers, right? We don't count these because what do you see here? We see consistent uptrend. This means the economy is good. This means consumers are spending as they should be, right? This is a good sign, relatively speaking. Relatively speaking, there's a nuance to this data. We're looking at these spikes because this was a completely unexpected spike to the upside. And so we're going to analyze every pertinent unexpected spike to the upside. So, as I said, 98 precluded LTCM. That is a crash signal. Oh, what is that? That is the peak of the fucking bubble. That is a crash signal. So, 2000. What happened in the middle of 2000? We're at the peak of the bubble, baby. What happened in the middle of 2000? Oh, we have a massive credit spike. Why is a credit spike that's 2 for 2 now predicting a crash? That's interesting as fuck to me. And then what do we have in 01? That's the end of 01. What happens in the end of 01? Oh, look at that. What's happening at the end of 01? Another crash. Credit spikes before a crash. Hello? Is anybody seeing this? Like, this is incredible. This indicator is fucking amazing. Okay, so that takes care of the tech bubble. So then we see sort of a normal climb into 06. Now remember, 06 is when the housing bubble burst, really. Okay? But then the market stayed solvent and stayed up for another 2 years. What do you see credit doing into the bubble? It's rising. Why is it rising from the peak of the housing market to the bubble? Well, that's because people are running out of money. Credit is a means to spend money that you don't have. And so people understand this concept. They understand not to abuse credit. At least most people do. They understand that credit negatively affects them if they don't have the means to pay it back. It is a means of last resort. And so we see that uptrend in credit because people are becoming desperate. They're losing cash. And they need to feed their family. Credit is free money. So if you built up a reputation and you have the credit to use, what do? You use it to feed your family. You do the same thing. If you don't have the means to feed your family, you're going to use it whatever means necessary. You're going to steal. You're going to take credit from banks. And you're going to go broke protecting your family. Now, let's look at 11. This is middle to late 11. Let's comparatively look at that. 2011. Right around, oh, what's that? Oh, was that a little sell-off? Now, who would have known? Who could have predicted? This is becoming one of the most, I don't know how I haven't seen this chart before. How have I not seen this chart before? This chart is fucking incredible. I cannot believe this chart. It is something else. It is something else. I'm dumbfounded right now. I've never seen this chart before in my life. Like, I'm new to economic data, really. Like, this is incredible. And so, look, then we get sustained growth. Into what? Into what, people? This is the China breakdown. This is the China breakdown in 2015. What's the peak saying? What is the peak saying in 16? Beginning of 2016. What happened to the beginning of 2016? Oh, the little crash, huh? Now, I could go in and explain QE and explain how this whole little end bubble phase happened, okay? I don't really want to. I'm gonna be dead ass with you people. I don't really want to. I don't really care. So we're just gonna have to teach ourselves how the expansion from 2016 onward is QE based. It is based in magic, essentially. And what we have now, let's look at, well, you all know what happened at the beginning of 2020. What did this big unexpected spike up? What did that happen? What did that preclude? Oh, the largest crash in the history. Oh, shit. So, you see this massive spike up in credit utilization. Are you kidding me, people? We are about to have the most epic crash of all time. This chart is telling you that. This chart is saying people do not have money right now. Okay, let me tell you a personal anecdote since I'm a truck driver and I lived over the road for 3 years. I drove over 400,000 miles. Okay, I know people who were making 6 figures net after all cost. Okay, that's with paying $1,000 a month. Sorry, $1,000 a week, not a month. $1,000 a week to lease their truck. They're spending $50,000 a year. That's not counting fuel. That's just the truck cost. They were bringing home over 6 figures, sometimes close to probably mid 6 figures net. Balls deep in debt. This dude had no savings. He had minimal investment. He's about mid-40s. The trucking industry is incredibly representative of middle class and lower class America. It's an incredibly financially illiterate consortium of immigrants and Americans. I met owner-operators who were driving just as much as me. They're working 70 hours a week. 50 to 70 hours a week. They're bringing home $50,000. And they're sending most of that money overseas for family. Plus taking care of their family at home. Life for the lower middle class it's cyclical, and times are good, their credit is reduced, as this chart shows. When we are, able to provide, we're paying down credit. But when we start to lose that, credit rises. And truck drivers, they're making a lot of money. Gross. So you can gross. Man, I was grossing over 300K at one point. And so when you go in to get a loan, a business loan or a line of credit, there's a little line that says gross income. And small business owners have a leg up and have an advantage to getting larger lines of credit. Their gross income can be double or triple what they're actually netting. There's a lot of cost to running a business. And the majority of truck drivers, I don't know if it's the majority, but there's a very, very, very large, maybe it's 50%, it is a very large portion of truck drivers are either leasing a truck as their own entity or they are owner-operator. I would wager it's 60 to 78% of the trucking industry is like that. Every single one of these drivers are financially, not every single driver, but a lot of these drivers are financially illiterate. And they don't understand the concept of saving, investment, and putting money away for hard times. They have truck payments that are $800, $1,000 a week, $50,000 a year. And so what happens when the trucking economy slows down? Well, they are fucked. Big time. But they have to feed their family. They have to. And what do they have left? They have a revolving line of credit that they can draw on. They can go to the bank and say, look, I've been doing really good. Hey, I need new credit. And there it is. They get their credit, and that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a massive wave of people drawing on their credit line. They're desperate. They don't have cash. They don't know what to do. They don't have stimulus anymore. They're about to lose their house because the eviction moratorium's up. It's really sad. It's really sad what I'm fucking saying to you. Holy shit. And so, okay, let's say this is an anomaly, right? Maybe things are great. Maybe the reopening trade is better than anybody could have expected, okay? Maybe CNBC is telling us the truth. Things are great. Things are going to be great. The economy's going to be booming. Is it, though? Is it? Wells Fargo is shuttering all personal lines of credit. All that does is it corroborates what I've just told you. It corroborates this chart as I've just laid it out for you. This is one of the most clear signals I have ever seen. If you are not buying out the money puts right now, what the fuck are you doing? Genuinely, what the fuck are you doing? You have every signal that this market is going to crash, and you're too much of a fucking pussy to buy out the money puts right now? Dumbass. Out the money puts, out the ass. This is life changing. This is life-changing if you just buy out the money puts here. You can change your entire history, the course of your existence. Something tells me you're too much of a fucking pussy. What other chart do I have? Oh, well, this is a great chart. God damn, this is an amazing chart. This is by Jeff Snyder. Jeff Snyder is like Alhambra Investments. Jeff Snyder is like the deflationist god. Okay. Basically, in the past 6 months, I have been studying deflationists, inflationists, all the in-betweens, right? There's a lot of different possibilities that this market has, right? I'm just trying to take on as much as I can. This is easily as far as deflation goes, the smartest person in the room. Someone who can consistently point out the flaws in the inflationary argument and the concept that our monetary system is not. It is a debt-based monetary system. And because of that, it is deflationary by nature. Inflation is impossible. We are trapped in a deflationary cycle, similar to Japan. Japan has the same problem. Okay, this is the revision. Okay, the dashed blue lines here, that is the revision from April 2019. Notice that it's higher than the revision in 2018. And then notice the blue line, the dark blue line. That is the newest revision. Who the fuck lied? Do you see this lie? That is an enormous gap. That is an enormous lie that has been told to everyone. What a fucking lie. And that shows you we are not on an uptrend, even when you account for the trillions that have been quote-unquote printed. We are on a downtrend, and a steady downtrend in that. And where the fuck would we be without that stimulus? We would be, holy shit, you struggle to think about it. We can get into the whole argument of, is the stimulus good or not? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I really, there's no clear answer right now. We'll have to see how things play out. But it's very clear. Very clear. We are moving from a growing economy, a growing production economy, to a recessionary economy globally. What this tells you is that globalism is contracting. Okay, so what I expect to see from this is further decay as economies become self-sufficient. Like the US is going to shift a lot of production across Southeast Asia and then relocate a lot back home. And so you're going to see a contraction from that because there's a cost. It costs money to relocate infrastructure. It then costs money to pay workers more when you relocate so that you domesticate a lot of your production. That eats into profit, that eats into excess, that eats into retail sales, it eats into everything. This is such a clear crash, people. I cannot believe how easy this has been and how stupid I have been by thinking that this was going to blindside me. This is, oh my god. I mean, if I had known, this is just incredibly easy. This market stuff it's been astounding how easy it's been. The market has told you it's peaked. You have a chance to make a lot of money. All you have to do is buy out the money puts. Buy some September, buy some December. You don't know when it's going to happen. But you know that it's going to happen, and you know that there's a moment of weakness. If you ever needed a symbol more than now, it is this. Like I said, we have signals. Every single spike like this, even the slow uptrends, they signal a collapse is impending. Does that make sense? Please buy out the money puts. I don't give a fuck what it is. It's gonna print. Okay? Amazon, if you have balls, Amazon puts out the money, you will make so much fucking money. That is the greatest trade right now. I'm about to go ham. I'll buy 10,000. I'm gonna buy 10,000 worth of Amazon puts. It's gonna print. I guarantee you that.